All right. Sort of Sports Podcast, episode 65. And here we are, folks. The NBA predictions, NBA preview, whatever you want to call it. 2024. Here we are. Well, the 2023 to 2024 season. I am absolutely stoked. We're going to see the beginning of the future greatest player of all time, Victor Wembanyama. See the beginning of his career. I own his t-shirt. I love him. He's looked incredible in preseason. There's going to be many episodes this year where I just rave about him because I cannot wait for Wemby. My favorite player is currently the second best player in the league, Giannis Antetokounmpo, behind, I don't know, maybe Jokic is at this point my second favorite player. I love Jokic, and he's the best player in the league. And so hopefully by the time next season we're talking about Wemby as that third spot. That is a crazy take, and I said that partially just for all my friends who listen to this podcast, hear the first minute, and I want them to text me immediately, what the hell is this? So that is why I opened the podcast this way. Do I believe Wemby could be top 3 next year? He's got that dog in him. We'll have to see. For those of you that are still listening and haven't texted me yet, I appreciate you, Mom and Genevieve. You're very good to me. All right. So we're going to go through. I got all the teams' standings predicted all the way down to the awards, and then we go through the playoffs, and that's the whole episode. I'll touch a little bit on video games and movies at the end. And when I say movies, literally nothing about movies because I haven't watched any movies since Thursday, the last episode. And, so very excited for this NBA season. We've been we're still going to have an episode Thursday, obviously. That'll still be uploaded. And then whenever the pennants end, which will be tonight, actually. Tonight, if the Diamondbacks force a Game 7, it ends tomorrow. But tonight, potentially the MLB playoffs would be setting the World Series. I was going to say MLB playoffs are over, but no, the World Series could potentially be set tonight, so we'll have to see what goes on. Go Rangers, go Phillies. Hopefully that's the World Series. And then Andy and RJ will come back on, and we'll do a little World Series preview pods. There's potential for, well, not potential, there will be 3 podcasts this week, which is pretty exciting stuff. Let me see, when would World Series Game 1 take place? Is that going to be Wednesday? That's Friday. So I've got a little bit of time to get an episode out. That's good. All right. So I just want to touch before I talk. Just want to touch on something, which is we've been in really good seasons. We've done really good NBA seasons. I started this podcast. We just passed, actually. I always forget to note the anniversary of the podcast. You know, I'm just a terrible, terrible partner to the Sort of Sports Podcast. If we were dating, the Sort of Sports Podcast would be very angry with me because I always forget our anniversary. The podcast started October 14th, 2020. Did I upload the first episode the day I made the channel? I got to check that. Let me make sure that is the actual date.
All right, so here we are on the Sort of Sports.
Yes, I did. October 14th. So we are past 3 years, or 9 days after the 9 days after the first ever episode. So I guess I should have mentioned, I didn't do an anniversary episode. It's been 3 years of the Sort of Sports Podcast. Now this year, the big thing is we've added Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you're interested in listening to this on Spotify and you haven't already, just go to the About page on the YouTube channel. You can also find our Twitter there, which is at Sort of Sports Pod on Twitter. And we're also on Apple Podcasts now. So just search Sort of Sports Podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You'll find me there. And it's been great doing this for 3 years. I obviously really enjoy it. Lately, we've been making more views on all the episodes for some reason. I don't know what I've been doing right. Apparently, people just like it when RJ comes on. I don't know. But the Lions episode, no one wanted to see. When I titled an episode, "How hyped can I be about the Lions?" There was only 8 views. So apparently, everybody's just like, Ryan's got to shut up about the Lions. But regardless of views, whether it's 0 or 20 or 200, we've never had 200, but I'm happy to do it. I love doing this, and I appreciate anybody and everybody who listens. So just wanted to touch upon that. And when I started this podcast, first thing I ever talked about was the NBA. It was the 2020 NBA Finals. And that, I believe, is really when the NBA started into these Hood Classic seasons. I think 2019 and 2020 were like the appetizer to the absolute ratatouille level dish that is the 2021, 2022, 2023 NBA seasons. I think 2022 is the weakest. because obviously playoffs and finals really affect what your overall season was. But I think 2021 might be the best. That was a really strong year. It was the first Jokic MVP year. That was a really fun Rookie of the Year race with it was one of those where it was so clearly Mobley, but they just gave it to Scotty Barnes. It was so weird. And even people now talk about that. It's so odd. And that was the Suns year that went before everybody hated the Suns, and most people thought they were fun. I still didn't like them, but a lot of people thought they were fun. That was a hell of a season. And then, of course, it ended the best way possible with the Bucks in 6, which, for those of you that are newer to the podcast, you don't remember, Giannis was this channel's profile picture for a solid year. It wasn't until after the 2022 finals I changed away. We've been with Jokic for a while now. I'm not sure when I'm going to change it away from Jokic. Bryce Young has a real chance to make it him, but we got to come out of this bye week stronger than ever. My joke to I should mention this on the Thursday pod, but I'm going to throw it in now. My joke to all my friends is, I was like, well, this is the best Panthers have played all year. And they go, oh, who they play? And I said, we're on bye. And everybody chuckled, so I'm glad everybody still thinks I'm funny. But we've been Hood Classic seasons. It's been great basketball, and I just think everybody needs to appreciate how competitive and how quality the NBA is right now. And we're currently living in what is either going to go down as the Giannis or Jokic era, most likely, because, I think there's about 3 to 4 more years, so those guys are going to dominate. And one of them will win more titles than the other. One of them is probably going to win 2 to 3 titles in their career. And whoever that is out of the two of them will go down as the guy of this era. And then we're going to shift into either the Thunder era or the Wemby era or maybe a late career Luka era, which a late career for Luka is 28. So, that's not really that late. Luka's a young gun. So, that will be the future era. We'll have to see who it is. Hopefully it's the Wemby era. I'm here for it. I'd love that. Luka era would be kind of cool. Thunder era would be sweet, but the Wemby era is the best option there. I for those of you that also have been long-time listeners of the podcast, I'm a huge Detroit Pistons backer. Love Sadiq Bey. But maybe Sadiq Bey, he's got a real chance to be the podcast picture, but then the Pistons trade him away. And it's it was one of those where it's like when 2 of your favorite celebrities are dating and they break up, and it's like, well, I liked you so much more together, and now you're apart. It's just rough on me. Really rough. But I famously said that the Pistons would win the 2024 NBA championship. I did not take them to win it this year. Just have to be very honest with all of you. So if that happens, I will be insanely happy and kind of outrageously angry at the same time. But I don't even think I have them in the playoffs. Oh, I did. I gave them a playoff. I gave them a play-in appearance because I'm a good guy like that. All right, let's get into the show. We're going to start the Eastern Conference. Last team in the Eastern Conference, I went Hornets. It feels like everything's been going wrong for this team. They've got problems, so many issues off the court. And a couple years ago, they were the new, young, fun team. And that's kind of died off. And I think after this season, we're going to see some significant changes, maybe to the coaching staff, maybe Borgiano's out, probably make some personnel shifts, really try to build around LaMelo more effectively than they currently have, because they really didn't add anybody I'm too interested in. I like Rozier and LaMelo, but is that really the duo that's going to get you to a final? What's the goal of playing in any professional sport? To win the championship. Do you think you're going to win the championship if Rozier and LaMelo as your 2 starting guards? Maybe, but you better have a hell of a big man. And I don't think P.J. Washington is that good. I think he's pretty good. So I just think, I look at this East, it's nowhere near as good as the West. When you talk about the West, I think the worst team in the West is maybe the 10th worst team in the East. But I just don't think the Hornets have a lot going for them. I can see them be bad this year. And the draft this year is not super exciting either, so it's going to be a rough spot for the Hornets. Number 14, I have the Bulls. I just think their time to shine was 2 years ago, and that time is over. So I don't really care to see what the Bulls are going to do this year. I just don't think they're going to improve, and I think they're going to be set. I don't want to say rebuild, but they're going to have to retool. They're going to have to change things up. So I just don't think they're going to have a big year. 13's the Raptors. It feels like the Raptors every other year are bad, and last year they were pretty good, so I went with them being bad. There's just a lot of teams I like more than the Raptors here. I think it's hard for me to say the Atlanta Hawks are going to miss the playoffs when it feels like every year they just sneak in as a 6th seed no one cares about, which is why I have them at the 6th seed. So I just put the Raptors here because there's not a lot going for this team, and I feel like they missed their opportunity to take that next step this offseason. Whenever a team misses that opportunity, usually they do worse the next year. 12's the Pacers. There was a version of this list where I did have the Pacers in the play-in. I like this Pacers team a lot. I really like Tyrese Halliburton, which everybody who watches basketball likes Tyrese Halliburton, so that makes sense. I love Benedict Mathurin. Huge Benedict Mathurin fan. I love Benedict Mathurin. But I can't justify. I don't think they have really the big men play to keep up with some of these other teams. So I just don't see night to night who really for this Pacers team is going to be leading them to wins. I think Halliburton is a great guy, but I don't know if you're going to see a lot of 30-point nights from Halliburton where they need a big performance in the fourth quarter, and Halliburton's like, everybody step back, I got it. Halliburton's more of a guy that elevates everybody instead of a dude who just locks in and takes over. That's to me why Jokic is so special, because I think, a lot of your superstars are either I can lock in and take over a game, or I elevate everyone on the court. And Jokic, I think, is one of the only ones that does both. And I think Curry would be the only other one I'd put in that conversation. LeBron obviously used to be that way. I think LeBron anymore is more of a lock-in guy. But like Giannis is a lock-in guy. Chris Paul's an elevation guy. You're not like, fourth quarter, we got to turn to Chris Paul. Booker is a lock-in guy. Kevin Durant is a lock-in guy. So maybe it's a little more of that conversation about facilitating, I guess, more than anything. But yeah, LeBron used to be a both guy. I'll give him credit. I'm not. Everybody who listens to this podcast for a while knows I'm kind of a LeBron hater, but I gotta admit he used to be that guy. 11's the Nets. I'm really not sure what to do with this team. There's a world where they're the 7th seed. Mikal Bridges just absolutely kills it. This team is just a tough team to play. They play hard. They're just kind of like the Jazz from last year, except with a better record, where they just play hard and they don't really have anybody crazy good, but they just make it work. There's a version of this team that makes the playoffs. I don't want to bet on that version, though, so I'm going to put them at 11. 10's the Wizards. This team is going to make the play-in because Jordan Poole might average 30 points a game. Genuinely. He's just going to shoot as much as he wants. And he's going to be happy with that. And there's going to be the baddies courtside, and the music's going to hit, and he's going to start cooking, and the Twitter video is going to be crazy. So I hope everybody gets that joke. My mom doesn't get the joke, but some people should get the Jordan Poole baddies courtside. I've referenced the Jordan Poole baddies courtside twice in the span of a month on this podcast. So that's, that should be my description in the about. The description is actually on the YouTube channel has been the same since the day I made the podcast, which is, I think it says, I mean, kind of. I'm so committed to the joke at this point, I haven't changed it. All right. Number 9, I have the Detroit Pistons. I'm going to be a believer in this team. Somebody has to be, right? Cade's going to come back. I think Cade's going to ball out. I think we're going to see a lot of guys. We're going to see those videos on Twitter and Instagram. Cade Cunningham's a problem. And it's going to be like highlights of him on a 35-win team. Maybe 40. No, that's not a 40-win team. That is a 35-win team. Is 35 wins really good enough to be a 9 seed? I need to check myself real quick. I'm like trying to think of what was the 9 seed last year? What was our record? The 9 seed was 41 games, so 35 is not going to cut it, big dog. This Pistons team winning 40 games. You know what? I got to believe. I'm going to believe in this Pistons team being that 9 seed. Why not? Fun fact, I don't get punished if my predictions are wrong. All I do is I'm just publicly embarrassed. So I can take it. I'm a big boy. So somebody's got to believe in this Pistons team. It's going to be me. And I think we are going to see Cade Cunningham cook this year. I want to see a next step from Jaden Ivey. I like Jalen Duren a lot on this team. I like Isaiah Stewart on this team. I like Marvin Bagley on this team. I really like Asar Thompson. I like both the Thompson twins. The Thompson twins are like the new people to like. Everybody's like, what I really like is the Thompson twins. That's like the new cool thing to say. It's like saying the Thunder are going to make the playoffs, which I do say later. So, it's just kind of the cool thing to say. And I'm with it. I think it's the right thing to say. I think this Pistons seems to be pretty good. Nothing crazy. Number 8's the Magic. This should be the cool team to talk about. This Magic team, I like what they got going on. I think a lot of people don't pay attention to the fact that the Magic have quietly been building a team that's going to be really good in a couple of years. Paolo Banchero was insane last year, and no one talks about it, I feel like. No one talks about it. You see a couple people, Paolo's really good, but not that many people talk about how damn good Paolo Banchero is. He's great. I had a friend in high school who said that we were watching the draft, and he's like, yeah, Paolo's not going to be that. Paolo's going to be a bust. And I remember looking at him, and I'm like, are you stupid? Like, this guy's going to fit perfectly in the league. And boom, he did. Anybody saying Jabari Smith should have went over him is crazy. Fun fact, I actually predicted Jabari Smith would go number 1, and I'm so glad the Magic went with Paolo, because Paolo has been great for them, and I love the pairing of him and Franz Wagner. I think Franz is going to get a lot of credit this year. He's going to do really well. And I like Anthony Black there. I think Anthony Black can be solid. Maybe he is the answer for them long-term at point guard. It's kind of been Cole Anthony and Jalen Suggs. It's kind of been Markelle Fultz. Maybe Anthony Black is the locked-in number 1, and then we'll see Markelle at the 2, or maybe Cole Anthony at the 2. I don't. As much as I love Jalen Suggs, he's not panned out that well in the league. Just a fact of the matter. So, yeah, I really like what this Magic team has going on. I think it'll be a tough team to play. All right, 7 is the Heat. The Heat don't care about the regular season, so I'm not going to bet on them doing well in it. I'm not going to come on this podcast and lie to you. Like, the Heat don't care about the regular season. Jimmy Butler goes into media day and does a joke every year for it. He doesn't care about media day. He doesn't care about the regular season either. He cares about winning the championship. As long as they make the playoffs, that's all he cares about. What were they last year? Like the 9? I'm serious. Were they a play-in team last year? I know they were in the plan, but were they outside the top 8? That's what I want to know. They were 8, exactly. Okay. Yeah, so he'll make the playoffs. They'll definitely make the playoffs. But that's I'm not gonna put them higher than 7. They didn't improve either. This team's so weird because it's obviously a very good team. They went to the finals. They lost in 5 games, but they had a great run. They consistently take guys that you don't know the names of and kill it with them in the play. That's what they do. That's their thing. But this team did not get better. And I understand they're going to find some undrafted free agent that's going to be an absolute unit for them. And I really like Jaime Jaquez on this team. I think he's going to fit in great. But this team had a chance to take some big swings this offseason. Bradley Beal, Damian Lillard. They didn't at either. And I do think eventually that's going to cost them. And I think this might be the year. Now, granted, we're going to get to playoff talk later. I have them going pretty far. But I don't think them not making a swing this summer or being unable to take a swing if they tried to and it just didn't work out, I don't think this team is going to win the finals. I just want to throw that out there. I don't think the Heat have made significant enough improvements. To me, the finals is set. I'm just going to say it right now. I'm going to be really honest with everybody. When I predict the finals, you're not going to be shocked at all because there's very clearly 2 teams that are better than every other team, and it's led by the 2 best players in the league. Yeah, you know what teams I'm talking about. You know what I'm going to take for the finals because I just think those teams are ahead of everybody significantly. Does that mean the league's not competitive? No, the league's super competitive. I just think there is 2 teams that are clearly going to win out of this competitive field. All right, number 6, I have the Hawks. This team always creeps around. They're not that interesting of a team. It's just not that interesting of a team, to be really honest with you. It's a pretty boring team. But for those of you that want to have some fun, you should look back at an article that was, oh man, can I find it right now? Hawks. The Hawks owner or GM. There it is, Sports Illustrated, November 12th, 2019. How the Atlanta Hawks are trying to rebuild in the image of the Warriors. So Trae Young is obviously the Stephen Curry of the team. Kevin Huerter is the Klay Thompson of the team. And John Collins is Draymond Green. Yeah. It's just that's just a great piece of media. I just gotta say it's just a great piece. There's some things that just do not age well. So yeah, my thing with Trae Young is he's just not very, I don't think he's that good. And that's That's really the end of it. I mean, he had his moment in 2021 when they went to the Eastern Conference Finals, and it was like, whoa, is Trae going to be that guy? And then we figured out he's just really inefficient. I think Trae's career path is he's destined to be one of those guys. And I know I've already used this joke once in the podcast. I'm going to say it again. He is destined in 15 years to have a YouTube video about him that's titled like one of the best scorers you've never heard of. And it's him. It's like his highlights, and it's like crazy highlights from his like 35 win season. That is like the Trae Young future. But for the time being, there's going to be a team that loses in the first round every year. So hooray, huzzah, here we are. Trae Young, please prove me wrong. I think it'd be really fun if Trae Young and the Hawks were good, but I just don't see it. All right, 5's the Sixers. Here's another team on Spin the Wheel of teams that didn't improve this offseason. I don't think the Sixers got better. Unless Maxey takes another step up, they're not going to be significantly better. I think Embiid is going to catch more hate than ever because that Sixers team was pretty hyped up last year. He won the MVP, and then he didn't show out in the playoffs at all. He disappointed everybody. So I think he's going to get a lot of hate this year, and I do not expect him to get really any MVP chatter. Maybe a little bit, but I do think the MVP conversation is going to be dominated by Giannis Jokic. It's just, I'm not going to lie, I'm just saying. I think Embiid has kind of removed himself. I think he's lost a lot of people's respect, just being honest. All right, number 4 is the Knicks. I like this Knicks team a lot. I think it's a tough team. I like Brunson a lot on this team. Everybody kind of laughed at them giving him that much money, and he showed he was worth it. I really like what this Knicks team does. I think it's a good team. I think it's a team I would hate to face in the playoffs. They kind of remind me of the Kings of the East, and that's a hell of a compliment in my book. So I like this Knicks team. I think it's a good team. 3's the Cavs. This Cavs team is an Evan Mobley next step away from being a legit contender. If Evan Mobley can take the next step and be one of the best defenders in the league, like a defensive player of the year level guy, and become like the Giannis stopper, this team could be in the finals. But I don't see him doing that right now. That's the thing right now at the league is whichever guy becomes the Giannis stopper is going to instantly make their team a finals contender. And maybe Wemby's that guy, right? We've seen him do really well in the preseason defensively. I know I bring up Wemby a lot. That's because I love Wemby. You got to understand. So a friend of mine, big Cavs fans, like, Ryan, what do you think ceiling is? I said Eastern Conference Finals loss. Just being real. I think it's a good team. I think there's a lot of nice guys in this team. I'm a little worried Mitchell's going to leave. But even then, I think it's still a hell of a team. I mean, Garland, Mitchell, Strus, Mobley, Jared Allen, that's your starters. It's a really good team. Really good team. But unless Mobley is your best player, I don't see a finals berth. I think Mobley has to be that guy. Not just defensively, offensively too. I think Mobley has to be a go-to guy to score. I think if him and Donovan Mitchell can be an incredible duo and then Garland is the third best guy, that's an insane team. That is such a good team. So, or the Thunder's going to beat them to it with Chet and Shea. A similar build would be Chet and Shea. So, we'll have to see. Both young teams. All right, 2 is the Celtics. This Celtics team's going to win a lot of games. Just being honest, it's going to win a lot of games. I think the East is so goofy because it's like, the Bucks and Celtics are going to be, one of them will have the best record, the other one will have the second best record, just barring something crazy. So, yeah, Celtics are going to be good this year. I like Drew there. Everybody's hyping up Kristaps like it's 2017 Kristaps. It's not. I don't think the Kristaps signing is that exciting. I'm going to be brutally honest with everybody. So, I don't want to be a hater. I kind of am a bit of a Celtics hater. I'm not going to lie. So, I'm not in love with this team as much as other people are. Number 1's the Bucks. Look, Damian Lillard going to the Bucks is crazy. That duo is going to be the best duo in the league. I think it's wild that Chris Middleton is now the 4th best player on this team. I'm being honest. Like, Brook is is 3rd now. Like, Brook last year was great. Defensively, he's changed his game, obviously to fit the offense of the Bucks. He's great offensively. The starting lineup for this team is, a great 4-man set with Pat Connaughton. as the fifth best player, or whoever they slide in as the fifth player. But I mean, if they put Bobby Portis on a big man lineup, right, and you do Dame, Bobby, Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Brook Lopez, that's a really good lineup. I think Pat Connaughton can be solid there too. I would love for them to pick up a better two-man, but I don't think it's in the cards. I think they're going to do what they have. Look, you guys know who I'm going to pick to be in the finals, and you know this team's going to be one of them. You know the Nuggets going to be the other team. I'm not going to lie to anybody on this podcast. I'm being honest. I mean, you could fast forward to the end right now and hear me talk about that if you want to. So, saying, I think it's going to be a great team. I think just absolutely going to kill it. I'm not going to lie. I just think this Bucks team, Giannis is pissed off, and he's got Damian Lillard now. And Dame wants to prove that he was being wasted all those years. This team's going to be crazy. All right, let's shift over to the West. At number 15, worst record in the West, I have the Rockets. I know some people are high on the Rockets. I get it. But I can't logically see them being better than anybody record-wise other than the Trailblazers. I think the Jazz are better. I think the Mavericks are better. I think the Clippers are better. I think the Spurs are better. I don't see the Rockets being better than any team other than the Trailblazers. And the reason I put the Trailblazers 14 is because I think Scoot is going to have a really strong year. So it's going to be a great Rookie of the Year race between Chet, Wemby, and Scoot. So I think as this team, they've got a lot of talent, right? You got Jalen Green, you got Cam Whitmore, you got Jabari Smith Jr., Amen Thompson. There's probably somebody I'm forgetting. Oh, Alperen Sengun. There's a lot of talent on this team. I think what's weird about this team is I honestly prefer Jalen Green off this team. I like Jalen Green a lot. For those of you that remember, I said that I actually thought he was a better prospect than Cade Cunningham. I'm not sure if that takes aged well. I don't think it has, but I think Jalen Green could be pretty good on another team. This team doesn't really fit him anymore. Like, if you take him off, and it's like Jabari, Whitmore, Sengun, Amen, and somebody else in that team. There's somebody else I'm forgetting that's pretty good on this team. I just can't remember the name of all of a sudden. Like, I like this team, I think, better. I don't think Jalen Green fits this team that well. I think he needs to go to more of a team that'll let him be more ball dominant. And I don't know. I just think it's weird. It's like they built a really good team despite having Jalen Green. Like, they built a good team for somebody that's just not Jalen Green. So I just think it's weird. We'll have to see what goes on there. I just think they're going to have offensive issues. I guess it's a really talented team. I just don't think they figured out what they're doing. It's kind of like the Bizarro Thunder, where it's like there's a lot of talent here, but I'm not sure how it fits together. Whereas the Thunder, I'm like, there's a lot of talent here, and it fits together perfectly. Oh, my gosh, how'd you do this? And I think Sam Presti's just got, like, the biggest smile on his face. So, all right, 14, like I said, I have the Blazers. It's going to be fun to watch Scoot on this team. I think Scoot's going to be really special. Really like Scoot Henderson. Not much else here except Jeremy Grant on my fantasy team. Cook it, bro. This is where it gets tough. I think the next 13 teams, genuinely, there's a world where every single one of them makes the play-in. Okay? Just want to toss it out there. Like, there's a world where the Kings are one of the top 5 best records. There's a world where they're a play-in team. There's a world where the Spurs don't make the playoffs. There's a world where they're a play-in team. There's a world where the Pelicans are in the playoffs. There's a world where they get the 14th best record. So I just want to toss it out there. I think the West, like 13 up, it's all teams I genuinely could see in the play-in, which is crazy. And this is why it pains me to say 13 I have the Jazz. I actually really like the way this Jazz team is constructed. I like getting John Collins. I think this is a pretty well-constructed team. If this was a 2K My League, this team would kill it. Because 2K My Leagues, for those of you that don't realize, as a guy who's played a lot of 2K My Leagues, a 2K My League simulator prefers when you have like 785 overalls as opposed to like 290s and a bunch of 70s with like 1 or 2 80s. Which in real life, the teams of 290s, a couple 80s, and a bunch of 75s wins the finals. In 2K, your teams with 585 overalls and a couple 80s and a couple 75s that team will always win the finals. Like 2K loves it when you have like every single one of your starters is averaging like 15 each instead of like two guys averaging 25 and 30. It's very odd, but that is the truth. Which isn't how real life works. This Jazz team is like amazing 2K sim team. In real life, they don't have a go-to guy. Maybe that's Sexton, but I don't think Sexton. I don't know, guys. Okay, be really honest. I don't think Sexton is good enough to be the go-to guy on a playoff team. I'm sorry. Is it Lowry? I'd love for it to be Lowry. Is Lowry good enough to be the go-to option on a playoff team? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. I am not comfortable saying that this Jazz team is going to be in the playoffs, so I'm putting them 13. Love to see it, though. I'm here for it. 12 is the Mavericks. Once again, a team I do not enjoy. Okay, not once again. This is actually the opposite of the Jazz. I want to say that. The opposite of the Jazz. I do not like the way this team's constructed. It feels like we're destined for a like Luka late career surge because early parts of his career, it just feels like he's cooking on a team that does not want to cook with him. And I think this team is going to miss the playoffs again. And then they're going to maybe say, okay, how do we fix everything? I don't think Kyrie's the right guy with Luka. I feel like he might be moved by the deadline. And then you're going to see Kyrie on the Suns or something stupid. Or maybe he's on the Sixers. Who knows? But I do not think this team's going to be very good. So that's that. Luka's going to kill it, though. I mean, you're ruining potential Luka MVP years because he's not making the playoffs. And he's not going to get MVP averaging 30 for a team not in the playoffs. It's just not going to happen. It's not how the voting works. 11's the Clippers. I know. Well, you're forgetting about Kawhi. Can't wait for the Twitter videos. Don't count these guys out. It's Paul George and Kawhi Leonard cooking. We've been doing that for 4 years. This will be the 5th year of don't count them out. I'm counting them out. They're 11th. They're not making the playoffs. Not even the play-in. 10's the Spurs. I'm doing it. Okay? I get to be happy here. I put the Pistons in the playoffs. I'm putting the Spurs in the playoffs. You know, honestly, I think the hotter take is the Pistons. Like, genuinely. I'm putting the Spurs in the playoffs because I think Wemby's going to be that guy. I've seen enough preseason. I've seen videos of him playing for the Mets 92. Dude is a beast. I don't know whether the nickname's going to be the Alien, because I like that. I hope it's the Alien. Also, like the shoe, the signature shoe for the Alien will be sick. Look, anything less than him averaging 20 points, 10 rebounds, a block, and 3 assists, I think is disappointing. Which you're like, Ryan, that's crazy stats. That's like an all-star starter stats. That he's been hyped up more than anyone in my entire life. I was born after LeBron was drafted, guys. So this is the most hyped I've ever seen anyone. Alonzo hype was crazy. The Lonzo hype was like borderline Zion levels. Zion was obviously the most, but the Andrew Wiggins hype was crazy too. I think it's really funny. There's an article you couldn't find. It's like predicting the best NBA players and then 10 years from now. It's from like 2015. I should do a segment on it. Next episode we talk basketball. I'll read this article off. But it's like Andrew Wiggins is like 1, and like Jabari Parker is like 3, and DeAndre Jordan was 8. Like, it was very clearly written a pre-Warriors. It was written right before the season where the Warriors popped off. So, like, they thought the league was going to be run by big men. It was insane. Like, it was like they thought the league was going to be run by a bunch of guys who just ran to the rim and dunked and big men. Because that's how it was being run at the time. And Dwight Howard was one of your best players. You weren't, like, LeBron was shooting some mid-ranges and a couple threes, but, like, you know, his biggest attribute was slashing. So they thought that's how the league was going to continue to be played. They didn't realize we were going to see such a shift to guard shooting from everywhere behind the three-point line. And then now we've shifted, obviously, into the beautiful era that I love, that is the everybody over 6'10" being excellent at basketball, which is the best. We've gotten some great seasons out of it. All right. Yeah, I'm putting the Spurs at 10. How does this happen? Well, Wemby kills it. So that's... Look, if Wemby doesn't have at least a couple people on Twitter saying he deserves an MVP vote, I feel like he's a disappointment. He's been that hyped up. Like, he should be killing it that much from day one. Enough to make a team that was 15th best record in the league last year have the 10th best record in the conference. I said league, but I meant conference. How many games did the Spurs win last year? That's the question, right? Because let's say they need 40 wins to be in the playoffs. They won 22 last year. So I'm betting on this guy pretty much doubling their wins. Team's barely different. Why not? Also, I love Sohan. I love Jeremy Sohan. He's going to be so much fun. If they run him at point guard, oh my gosh. I've been catching some hate because I'm not a big Keldon Johnson guy. I'm just not a big Keldon Johnson guy. It's the truth. I like Vassell. I really like Malachi Branham. Big Malachi Branham fan, but not a big Keldon Johnson guy. Also, Wemby at the 4 is interesting. That'll be really intriguing. Like, do they just want to purposely make it so Giannis is guarding him? Okay, and Wemby's guarding Giannis. Is that just what Pop is going for? He's like, look, what's gonna be? He wants them to line up like it's like youth basketball, where they get wristbands and the colors correspond with who they're guarding. So that's why they're doing that. So when they line up pregame, it's like, well, we're both 4s, so we have to guard each other like youth basketball. Being says I'm talking about Wemby and Giannis playing youth basketball, I should just move to the next spot. All right, let's go. Number 9, I got the Pelicans. I think this team could be really good, but I can't bet on it because that would require Zion to be really good at basketball, and no one knows if that's going to happen anymore. So if Zion's really good, I like the way his team's constructed. If him and Brandon Ingram are healthy and good, then this team's really good. But if they're not, this team isn't very good. But I feel it's weird to not put them in the plan, so I put them there. 8 is the Lakers. I think this Lakers team is going to be pretty good. I actually like what they have going on. I really like Austin Reeves. I think the hype is actually real about him. I don't think he's overrated. I think FIBA, to me, proves how talented guys are. I know it sounds dumb, but it's kind of like the World Baseball Classic. When it's like, when a guy really kills in the World Baseball Classic, I'm like, okay, he's really legit. And that's why it felt poetic that Mike Trout and Shohei were the 2 best players in World Baseball Classic this year. Because I'm like, oh, those are the guys I think are the 2 best in the game. This fits. This tracks. And Anthony Edwards is getting a lot of hype coming out of Team USA, and I think it's deserved. I think, honestly, you're playing in a more loose system, just for what it's worth. I actually prefer the way the FIBA rules are made. It encourages a faster-paced game, less timeouts, less stoppage, less fouls. I think it's a better product. I wish the NBA would just play with the FIBA rules. They never do it because less breaks and a slower pace means more commercials. But I think guys get to play more freely and more naturally, and it leads to a better product. And I think it's really quality basketball. And that's why you see some guys really thrive in that atmosphere, and you get to see who the really legit hoopers are. And I think Anthony Edwards showed that. I think Austin Reeves showed that. And you hear nothing but great things about him from the coaches. So I think he's going to be really, really legit for this Lakers team. They have a lot of good depth. And, I think this team's going to be pretty good. The reason I put them at 8, even though I'm really talking them up, is I think they're another team that doesn't really care about the regular season. Like, it's kind of like the Heat, where it's like playoffs will come, they'll do well, but I don't think they really care about the regular season. So that's why I have them at 8. Also, I feel like there will be some injuries with this team. Day-to-day Davis is king. Come on. 7's the Grizzlies. I think this team's going to do really poorly this year. I think a lot of the stuff from last year is going to hurt them this year. I just think the vibe's going to be off. All the cool, fun energy they had before is gone, and I do think that vibe was part of the reason they played really well. And I think not having that fun vibe anymore is going to damage this team. Not enough to kick them out of the playoffs. It'd be crazy if I took a team that was the 2 seed last year, threw them out. I can't do that, but part of me wanted to put the Jazz here. I'm not going to lie, but I didn't. All right. Number 6, we got the Timberwolves. If this becomes Edwards' team, I really would love to see what they do here. But I got to admit, if this becomes Edwards' team and they eventually move Karl Anthony Towns to the deadline, that team is not going to be top 5 in records. I love Anthony Edwards. Everybody loves Anthony Edwards. It's like Tyrese Halliburton. Everybody loves him. But this team doesn't really have a lot of depth, and I don't really love the pieces with him. So I'm not going to bet on that team doing too much, even if Anthony Edwards is the guy on this team, which would be great. I just can't bet on it. All right. Number 5, I got the Warriors. This is one of those where I had to put them somewhere. You know they're going to have a good record. I don't have a lot to say. They're the Warriors. Curry's going to play really well. And we're seeing some of the last years of Stephen Curry really being that dude. So enjoy it while you have it, because either the best point guard of all time or second best. It's him or Magic. So for me, it's Curry. I'm sorry, Magic. It's the truth. I think Curry's better than you. All right, 4 is the Suns. Not a huge fan of the Suns. I know there's a lot of Suns hype. I get it. I think they're going to be a really good team in the regular season. This team might be the 1 seed in the West. I do see that happen. I think all 4 of these teams in the top could have the best record in the West. Actually, I take that back now. I really think it'd be the Suns or the Nuggets. I have the Nuggets at 1, but I think there's a real chance. I feel like the Suns are either really going to catch fire or they're going to be like the 4. But this team, it's going to get a lot of finals hype. It's going to get a lot of buzz. And it's going to shoot the most mid-range shots in NBA history. I mean, this team is going to be shooting mid-range just like it's 1996. So it's going to be interesting. I'll talk more about that when I get to the playoffs. 3 is the Thunder. Look, you look up NBA predictions. Most sites can have the Thunder, maybe at the 8, the 7. They're cowards. Because everybody knows this team is awesome. It's a good team. Like a really good team. They're young. They have high IQ players. They have super talented players. They have depth. And they have incredible energy and an amazing atmosphere. The fact that not more people are putting them in the playoffs is absurd to me. There's always a team every year that just kicks off and has great vibes and kills it. 2021, it was the Grizzlies. 2022, it was the Kings. 2022, it was the Grizzlies. 2023, it was the Kings. 2024, it's going to be the Thunder. I'm telling you. 2021, that was the Knicks year, for what it's worth. Just tossing that out there. I was like, there was a 2021 team. Every year, there's a team that has immaculate vibes, super fun team that previously wasn't super strong and now is absolutely on another level. And it's going to be the Thunder this year. And I think there's going to be some Shai Gilgeous-Alexander MVP hype. I'm not saying he's going to be top 3 in voting, but I think there'll be some chatter. And by chatter, I mean just people on Twitter saying stuff. Just like I said, there's going to be a couple Wemby quotes, like tweets this year. They're like, shouldn't Wemby get a vote? He completely turned the Spurs team around. And, like, obviously that's absurd, but, like, it's just the fact that somebody's going to say it just to say it, and I think that's going to happen with Shai, too. Somebody's going to be like, shouldn't Shai get some hype? Because Shai's going to be the best player on a team that looks like a finals contender, and I think this team could be. I think this team's really good, and I think this team's better than the Cavs, and the Cavs have previously made the playoffs. I mean, they played the playoffs last year, and I really like the Cavs got going on, but I got to admit, I think this Thunder team's really good. I know they don't have, like, any playoff experience other than 2020. Some of these guys were on the 2020 team, Shai and Lou Dort. But, like, Giddey, great player. Shai is, to my mind, he is the new Dwayne Wade. That's who he reminds me of. He's just not as defensively strong. But I think every year he seems to get better at defense. So I don't even know if it's, I feel like it's going to be eventually not applicable. I think he's going to get better defense every year. Lou Dort, a guy that literally everybody likes. Everybody raves about him because he's great. Chet has a chance to be like the dude for this team. Like he could be 20 points a game, best defensive player on the team, just absolutely killing it. Jalen Williams is great on this team. I love Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams is the guy that every single championship team needs. He's that guy who can come in, gets buckets. Simple. And that's Jalen Williams. It's a guy that every team wants to have is Jalen Williams. Yeah, so I think this team's really good. I really like the Thunder teams that are going on. And, yeah. 2 is the Kings. I think they're going to keep up the momentum from last year. I feel like the Kings are either going to have a really good record or they're going to fall off and have, like, a play-in record. But I have faith in them doing really well again. I think they didn't really make any significant changes, but I don't think they really needed to. I think they're going to play well. So good for the Kings. Number 1's the Nuggets. This team has a chance to have even a better record than last year, and I think last year they won like 58 games. Did they win 60? Do I hear 60? I don't. 53. Yeah, no team won 60 games last year. They could improve on that, genuinely. I think Christian Braun, or Brown, I think it's Brown maybe, even though it's spelled like Braun. I think Christian Brown is going to step up this year and, kind of move into that role Bruce Brown had, except a little more shots than Bruce Brown, even though I love Bruce Brown. He's great. But I think the thing was with the Nuggets is you put any guy there, they get better. Jokic just elevates everybody. And so I don't think Bruce Brown's going to do as well away from the Nuggets as he does with. So I just want to check. I'm like, I'm not stupid. Didn't Bruce Brown leave? I wanted to check. I was like, didn't he left, right? Yeah, he's on the Pacers now. Okay. Oh, he grew out a mustache. That's a rough look for him. It was a bit of a weird mustache on him. But you guys know I'm a fan of this team. You get like not a fan as in like woo yay. Well, I do go woo yay for the Nuggets, but they're not like my favorite team or anything. I love Jokic, and it's gonna be a great team. Let's move into the NBA awards. MVP. I got Nikola Jokic. A part of me wants to say Giannis, and I think that's going to be the talk all year. It's going to be one of them. The voter fatigue is kind of like wore off Giannis at this point. But I think there's something to be said where they didn't give it to Jokic last year, even though he kind of clearly deserved it. And he showed them up by winning the finals. So if they have a better record than last year, they kind of owe it to him anyway. And the thing is, Giannis is Damian Lillard. And you know, even though it's kind of BS, people are going to be like, oh, Giannis is Damian Lillard. Jokic has Jamal Murray. Which, for what it's worth, any Jamal Murray slander, I do not allow it. Love Jamal. Jamal Murray is a great, amazing player. Jamal Murray's awesome. But they're going to be like, oh, well, Giannis is Damian Lillard. Jokic is Jamal Murray. Therefore, Giannis is better help than Jokic. Jokic is more valuable, which is kind of an insane MVP argument to me, because then it's like, oh, well, LeBron had Dwayne Wade, so he doesn't deserve the 2013 MVP. That's bullshit. LeBron deserved that. So, doing that is stupid. But in a real sense, that's going to go on. People are going to argue that. So I think the Nuggets potentially have a better record than the Bucks. They kind of owe it to Jokic already. Jokic doesn't have Damian Lillard on his team. And I think those three things are going to combine to get Jokic's third MVP, which is crazy. Crazy. All right, Rookie of the Year. I got Victor Wembanyama. It's going to be a great race, but I do think Wemby's going to come out on top. Like I said, I told you what I think his stat line has to be for him to live up to the hype. He's got to average like 20, 10, a block, and like 3 assists. That's an incredible stat line for a rookie. But I think he kind of has to reach it because of all the hype he has. Sixth man of the year, I'm going to go Bobby Portis. Sixth man of the year always goes to a team that has a really good record, has a guy who comes off the bench, plays well. That fits the Bucks and Bobby Portis. Defensive player of the year. I pretty much predict Giannis every year, and I'm waiting on it. So I'm going to pick it this year. I'm going to pick Giannis for defensive player of the year. To me, he is the best defender in the league, so I don't understand why he wouldn't win it. Most improved, Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole's going to put up crazy numbers. So it's gonna on the stats, you're going to look at the stats from last year and go, whoa, Jordan Poole really improved. Did he really? I don't know, but he's probably going to win it. So there you go. Coach of the year, I got Mark Daigneault. That Thunder team is going to be another level. They're usually the team that pops off and does really well. That guy wins Coach of the Year. Remember when I named the 2021 team, the 2022 team, the 2023 team, that the Thunder are going to be the 2024 team? Fun fact, every single one of those teams I named, their coach won Coach of the Year, except for 2022. Monty Williams won it instead of the Grizzlies coach. But, wait, did Thibodeau won it 2021? I'm not crazy, right? I was like, yeah, Thibodeau did win. Okay. Okay, so Jenkins was nominated, though, when the Grizzlies. I actually thought he should have won it. But, yeah. So there you go. It just makes sense. That good vibes team that comes out of nowhere, their coach usually wins. All right. It is time for the 2024 NBA playoff predictions. So the Eastern Conference plan, I got the number 10 Wizards facing against the number 9 Pistons. The Wizards win. I put the Pistons already probably too far anyway by giving them a play-in game. And I feel like Jordan Poole is going to have like 35 in the playoff game. He's going to invite like the entire Victoria's Secret model lineup to be sidelines so he can kill it. All right. Then we got number 7 Heat versus number 8 Magic. It's playoff time, so the Heat turn up, they win. Then we got the number 10 Wizards against the number 8 Magic, and the Magic win. So that makes the playoffs. The Magic are the 8th seed, and the Heat are the 7th seed. Let's move over to the Western Conference. Number 10, Spurs versus number 9, Pelicans. I'm going to give it to the Spurs here because why not? Let's get Wemby in the playoffs, right? Then we got number 7, Grizzlies versus number 8, Lakers. Lakers win, so the Lakers now become the 7th seed, for those of you who don't know how the play-in works. Or, this isn't a visual this is a visual podcast. I put images, but I'm saying you don't see my face me explaining it. And I'm doing my best to just explain. Then we got number 10, Spurs versus number 7, Grizzlies. Winner would become the 7th seed. I'm going to take the Spurs here because I'm putting Wemby in the playoffs. Why not? Let's do it. The Spurs become the 8th seed. My mistake. So that means we did the plan. So let's just do the Western Conference first. So in the first round, you get the number 1 Nuggets against the number 8 Spurs, the number 2 Kings against the number 7 Lakers, the number 3 Thunder against the number 6 Timberwolves, the number 4 Suns against the number 5 Warriors. So for the first round, Nuggets, Spurs, I'm going to take the Nuggets in 5. Spurs get 1 here, but the Nuggets are the better team. It'll be interesting to see Wemby on Jokic. We got Kings versus Lakers. This is Lakers in 6. I'm sorry. My Prada's at the cleaner. No, I'm just kidding. Social Network reference for everybody that enjoys good old David Fincher. But that is like the best scene in the whole movie. Everybody loves that scene. So if you haven't seen that, just look up My Prada's at the Cleaners. You'll find it. And the flip-flops, classic line. Yeah, so Kings, Lakers, I'm sorry, but I'm taking the Lakers in 6. It's playoff time, so LeBron's going to turn up, and I'm sorry, Kings, back-to-back first-round exits to teams that are led by historically great players is rough. You had Curry last year, and now LeBron. All right, then you got number 3 Thunder versus number 6 Timberwolves. I didn't put the Thunder this far to see him lose to Anthony Edwards. I love Anthony Edwards. That's not a diss on him. It's just Thunder are a good team. Thunder in 5. Anthony can have 1 game. Then we got number 4 Suns versus number 5 Warriors. I'm going to take the Suns in 6. This would be like a really fun series, but then I think the Suns would take hold. So in second rounds, we got the Nuggets versus the Suns, the Thunder versus the Lakers. There's going to be an argument that this Nuggets-Suns is the real Western Conference Finals, even though it's a second-round matchup. That's why I'm going to take the Nuggets in 7. This team is built to beat the Nuggets. Like, that is probably their goal. When you're building a team in the West right now, it's how do we beat the Nuggets? When you're building a team in the East, I think it's how do we beat Giannis and the Bucks. I honestly think that's the way you should be looking at it. So I know I'm saying that, and the Bucks got upset last year, but like I am being serious. Like I do think it's the way most teams think. So yeah, because I would obviously know. I talk to Dan Gilbert all the time and all the other Eastern Conference team owners. But anyway, this team's supposed to beat the Nuggets. I don't think they can do it. Nuggets are better. Nuggets in 7. I think Bradley Beal's gonna get exposed. That's my take. I'm being honest. I don't think Bradley Beal's like incredible. I don't think he's super great. I think he's really good. Like, he's really good at basketball. He's in the NBA. He's an all-star level player. But he is not the guy that puts you over the hump to make you a championship team. I think this Suns team is filled with second-best player on a championship team, guys. Paul, Booker, KD, Beal are all second-best player in a championship team, guys. And none of them can be the one. The only one I have a little bit of faith in is Booker. KD, I would have like 5 years ago. Not anymore. Maybe that 2021 Nets team. He had good vibes then. But yeah, Nuggets over Suns in 7. All right, Thunder Lakers. This would be a really fun matchup. Really fun. I think it's really exciting, but I honestly am going to take the Thunder in 6. I love this Thunder team. I think this Thunder team's really good. Really good team. Western Conference Finals, Nuggets, Thunder. This is where the Thunder run ends. Nuggets in 6. You knew I was putting the Nuggets in the finals, and you know I'm putting the Bucks in the finals. So let's get over to the East. First round, Bucks Magic. This is fun. We can do the Paulo Banchero, Giannis, Spider-Man pointing meme. But the Bucks in 4. Take care of business. Giannis is pissed this year. All right, Celtics, Heat in 7. Celtics, it's happening again. You're losing to the Heat again. This time not in the Eastern Conference Finals. This time in the first round. It just seems. I think the Celtics, to me, are the Bills of the NBA. Everybody always hypes them up. And they're not actually as good as everybody says they are. And we'll talk more about the Bills on the Thursday pod. But losing the Patriots, yikes. Heat in 7 here. Heat turn up for playoffs. Celtics turn down for playoffs. Makes sense. And if anybody wants to ask, Ryan, why do you hate on the Celtics so much? I watched the 2022 NBA Finals and saw Jason Tatum performing in the finals, and I thought, okay, this guy cannot be the best player in a championship team. It's that simple. So if you watch that finals, you'd understand what I'm talking about. Number 3 Cavs versus number 6 Hawks. I'm going to take the Cavs in 5. You thought I was going to say Hawks. I did not mean to say that. Cavs definitely in 5. Trae Young has a big game here, but other than that, I think the Cavs take care of business. Knicks, Sixers. I'm going to take the Knicks in 7. I think the Sixers are going to have a lot of issues this year. I think this is going to be their last year with this sort of team, And they're going to retool after this. I don't know if Embiid is moved. I don't know if they just change out the entire personnel around him and Maxey. But I think this is going to be the last year of this type of Sixers team, and they're going to lose in the first round of the Knicks. Second round, we got Bucks versus Knicks. Bucks in 5. Maybe this gets pushed to 6, but I think this Bucks team's going to be another level this year. Bucks in 5. Cavs Heat. There's a real argument I take the Heat here, but I honestly think this Cavs team is going to be better than they were last year, so I'm going to take the Cavs in 6. Eastern Conference Finals, we got Bucks Cavs. I predicted this last year, and I'm doing it again this year. Why not? Let's put the Bucks in 6 over the Cavs. I don't think this Cavs team is better than the Bucks. I think I might have already put them a little too far. I put them in the Eastern Conference Finals, so we're going to take them out of there in 6. So now we got the 2024 NBA Finals, and I'm going to be real with y'all. I don't know who to take. On the one hand, the Bucks are the best duo in the league. Giannis is the best player, maybe. It's him or Jokic, obviously. As far as two-way, Giannis is the best defensive and offensive mix. But Jokic is just on such another level offensively. Does that make him the best player in the league? Thing is, you guys know if this happens, I'm rooting for the Bucks, but I'm happy with either team winning. The problem is, Giannis is going to be on another level this year. He's pissed. He's got all his quotes. He's locked in. But I'm going to take the Nuggets in 6. I paused for a gasp. I know. I don't know what's gotten into me. That is the 2024 NBA season preview. Usually I end with big excitement and shouting, but this time I'm just calm because I'm even a little surprised I took the Nuggets to beat the Bucks in 6. No, did I say 6? Oh no. I want to say I said 6. We're going to put the Nuggets in 7. Let's say 7 games. But I've been loving Spider-Man 2. It is now my favorite game of all time. Mario Wonder is now probably my favorite 2D Mario of all time. Previously it was Super Mario World. They're both incredible games. And I think Mario Wonder is the best 2D Mario. I haven't even beat Mario Wonder. It's already my favorite Mario that's 2D. Does it beat Mario Galaxy as my favorite Mario game? I don't know. But, yeah, I haven't watched any Fincher movies because I've been so locked into my video games. Because Spider-Man 2 is the greatest game of all time, and it's now my favorite game of all time, and I love it, and it's amazing, and it's perfect. And I'm not even going to lie, I'm currently so shocked that I took the Nuggets to win the finals that I'm just going to end the episode, edit it, and post it, and then play Spider-Man 2 the rest of the night. So thank you for listening. I'll see you Thursday. I need to look in the mirror and make sure I'm still myself after I just took Giannis losing in the finals. What's gotten into me? Who am I? Nuggets in 7. Spider-Man 2's greatest game of all time. Well, at least I know I'm still the same guy. I'm talking about Spider-Man 2. Quick thing. For the Sport of Sporties, I just want to say Across the Spider-Verse is the best movie I've watched all year, regardless of release date. Any movie, whether I watched a movie from 1950 to right now, it is the best movie I watched all year. But it's not eligible to be named the best films of the year because it's already in the Hall of Fame automatically. It's a Spider-Man movie. So I just want to toss that out there when you get the Sort of Sporties. That'll be interesting because I don't want to say the number one's going to be fraudulent, but the number one is actually the number 2 because of my own rules. Spider-Man Across Spider-Verse will be eligible for the best films of 2023, but it won't be eligible for best films from 2023, but not the best films of 2023 for me. So what that means, for those of you that haven't listened to Sort of Sporties before, the best films from 2023 are movies that just released in 2023, and the best films overall are just every movie I watched this year. So I just want to toss that out there. It's going to be really interesting. I don't know what number 1 is going to be because Across the Spider-Verse can't be number 1 because it's automatically in the Hall of Fame. It's actually, fun fact, the only movie to ever have its own separate episode on the Sort of Sports podcast. Every other movie has been paired with another movie. Across Spider-Verse is the only one to have its own episode. I can't believe I took the Nuggets to win the finals over the Bucks. This is crazy. I have to end before I change my mind. I'm committed. I'm committed to it. Nuggets in 7. I guess we're living in the Jokic era.